That is not natty behavior right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and say not natty.
For my money, Geoffrey Verity Schofield, aka GVS, and Joel Twinem, aka TNF, are the biggest natural bodybuilders on social media. I already know that plenty of people do not believe these two to be natural, while others will probably say that there are far bigger naturals. Either way, these are two of the more muscled gentlemen with a high probability of being natural on the interwebs. And there are at least 5 things they have in common that may have led them to the gains they have. And before we begin, full disclosure, Jeff is a social media friend of mine, so I'm sure you could argue that I'm biased. But if you followed Jeff for as long as I have, you'd get it. And after I go over all the points here, you may understand that it makes a lot of sense that these two are in fact natural. Point number 5, lifestyle. I recall both of these fellas saying that they live pretty stress-free lives.
I'm like, I live a very stress-free life. Like, I can sleep as much as I do tend to recover a little bit better than most people who have all the other crap going on in their lives.
I think that is something people do not understand. There's life outside of the gym.
Yep.
Their job allows them to make their own schedules, and therefore they can revolve their lives around gains. From the workouts to the recovery. Not everyone has this luxury, but I do think that everyone can look to improve their overall lifestyle to optimize some gains. Number 4, neither gets hung up on new science. I'd argue that both Jeff and Joel are science-based to some degree. Joel more so, but Jeff as well. But not to such an extent that they allow for paralysis by analysis or trendy gimmicks.
Now, my sort of biggest issue with the science thus far, there's a bunch. I mean, the small sample sizes, I think that's an issue. People over extrapolating untrained lifter studies to those who are trained, and there are a number of issues. And the best science-based content creators that I follow, they also lift. Yeah. They also have a lot of personal experience. And you can tell that the personal experience informs what they say and how they say it.
So, as much as we do like to think a lot on this platform, don't overthink your training and get yourself so stuck in this method of, I need something new that's going to get me better results and to change everything. You do that too much, and you'll actually keep yourself from progressing.
An approach that relies on new science is not a logical approach at all, if you ask me. And Jeff and Joel are good examples of that. This is no knock on science as a concept, but more of a comment on obsession with new science. Number 3. To go along with the last point, one of the most important sciences when it comes to building muscle is progression. And Jeff and Joel focus on quality sets with progressive overload. This ensures that strength is being built, and thus muscle is being built.
And this is where you do have to audit your technique, because I've seen a lot of people where they progressively overload and overload and overload, but their technique is getting sloppier and sloppier and sloppier, and they don't know if they actually got better from week to week. Now, I do this, but I am very, very mindful of what is going on. And personally, I don't mind sacrificing a little bit of technique sometimes in order to use a little bit more weight. And then I just sort of tighten things up and clean things up a little bit later. A lot of people miss out on the cleaning up side of things and they keep hitting plateaus, because what happens is if you get too sloppy, you start getting less stimulus from the set. And then you hit a plateau because you're getting less stimulus, but you're using more weight and you're like, oh, what's going on? So you do have to audit your technique sometimes, and there's probably going to be a pretty decent range of sloppiness that you can play in and be fine. But man, think about it, if you're too strict, you see these guys doing rows and it's like an ultra slow row, and they're like, man, I'm just not able to add weight to the bar. And you're like, yeah, well, you're not actually getting a stimulus. Same thing with the guy throwing weights around, that is also going to be an issue. So I think it's a pretty broad range, but if you're outside that range, yeah, that is absolutely going to impact your results.
Progressive overload is when you do the same exercise in the same manner and then increase in reps and weight. It is not about shortened range of motion and then getting more weight, more reps. You have to make sure the form is standardized in order for you to do progressive overload. And if you're just going for that extra rep, just going for that extra weight all the time, sometimes you're going to sacrifice your form and it's not actually progressive overload. And you are just convincing yourself in your head that you're doing something you're not. Make sure you're using good form before you actually start progressing the weight.
Number 2, they both do proper bulks or gaining phases. By this I mean, neither gentleman spends too much of their year at a body fat that does not allow for them to push in their workouts. They put on just enough body fat to help them stay strong and make the gains they desire. This is also a point in their favor when it comes to their natty status. If they spent a good chunk of their year with shreds, it would be awfully suspicious for their natural hormones. And the number one reason is in fact the most important reason, and that is time and consistency. Another big point in favor of their natural status. I believe both men have said that they've been lifting for at least a decade and have been consistent in that time.
What's up, chicken nuggets? So this month is my 10-year lift anniversary. That's right, I've been lifting for 10 years, during which I have gone from this to this. Quite a change.
I'd have what, like 8 years of training on you? Because you've only been training for what, 3 years?
3 years, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pushing a decade, so.
Both also started as athletes within different sports. Jeff being a runner and Joel being a soccer player. So they are no stranger to physical exertion. But anyway, time and consistency is a surprisingly underrated variable when it comes to an impressive physique, especially in this modern day where instant gratification has sadly become normalized. And that's it. 5 simple points. If you incorporate these ideas into your own life, I think you'll do pretty damn well as far as building muscle is concerned. So, stay natural, keep consistent, be patient, eat well, rest as best you can, and bring as much intensity to your workouts as possible.